Welcome back. Girls joining the Boy Scouts. What do you think? According to a new poll by NBC News and the Wall Street Journal, 57%, or nearly 6 in 10 Americans, oppose it. Breaking it down by gender, 37% of women support the Boy Scouts of many girls, 35% of men support it. So what is behind the move? Could it be fewer and fewer boys are joining? 2.3 million Boy Scouts last year, down from 6.5 million members in 1972. And joining us for more is Marianne Servian, CEO of the Girl Scouts of Gulf Coast, Florida, and Erica Contreras, the parents of a Boy Scout and a Cub Scout. We should also note that we did invite the Boy Scouts to take part tonight, but the answer was no. So Marianne, I know you said this in Dwayne's story, but do you have any doubt in your mind this is all about the fact that there is declining membership in the Boy Scouts and the Boy Scouts are trying to make it up in whatever way possible?
I think that that's probably one of the drivers. I'm sure that there are others, but you know, I have talked to so many young ladies and so many families of our Girl Scouts, and they truly believe that remaining in a single gender environment for that 1 hour a week is really, really important. And that's what we support. We support keeping the girls and the boys separate for this particular activity.
And Erica, you have a Cub Scout and a Boy Scout. The same sex component of this, is that also something that you think would be important, or does it really make a difference in terms of your meetings?
As a Cub Scout, I think joining them together doesn't relate either way. I think as a Boy Scout, and they're when matured and trying to identify who they are more so, is very vital to keep them separate. I think you can join the degrees or the awards that they can get, but I think having boys and girls separate is pretty vital to their development.
Did this come as a shock to you and other pack leaders or den leaders when the Boy Scouts made this announcement?
Absolutely. It wasn't something that we spoke about. It wasn't something that we discussed or a survey passed out or anything of that nature.
So they didn't reach out to moms and dads, let alone young men, and ask them how they would feel before they made this decision?
Not to me. I did not get an email or a phone call that would survey that.
Marianne, same question to you. Did the Girl Scouts see this coming? Were there inklings that this may be coming down?
We knew it was coming for quite some time. At the leadership level, the CEO of Girl Scouts of USA and the head of the Boy Scouts of America, they talk to each other. And this had been an ongoing discussion for well over a year. And it's interesting, I spoke to a woman who had been on the Girl Scouts National Board in 2000, and she said it had been talked about then. So I think at the national level, these conversations have been going on. At the local level, we have been prepared for 6 months. We've been having council calls monthly with all 112 CEOs, knowing that this was going to come and how to prepare for it.
Right, and we want to dive deeper into this in just a moment. We are just getting warmed up, and we'll have more on the Girl Scouts being allowed girls being allowed in the Boy Scouts right after we check the first great weather. So stay with us. Welcome back. We're talking about the decision of the Boy Scouts of America to allow girls to join. And joining us for more is Marianne Servian, the CEO of the Girl Scouts of the Gulf Coast, Florida, and Erica Contreras, the parent of a Boy Scout and a Cub Scout. And so, Erica, we talked a little bit a while ago in terms of you really had no indication that this was coming down.
Right.
What has been the reaction to den mothers and dads and the kids? Has anybody approached the Boy Scouts and basically said, what's going on here?
I have not seen anything like that, but the boys and the kids that in Cub Scouts, they are completely naive to what's happening. They have no idea. And once the girls start, to be honest, they won't know any different.
I kind of got the sense by talking to the Boy Scouts over the last couple of days that at least here in our area, and the headquarters for the Boy Scouts is down in Fort Myers, that they didn't know this was coming.
No, they didn't. We did get an email saying we're accepting girls. We didn't get a survey asking, would it benefit the group? Will this be something financially stable, or any form of, what do you think? What's your opinion?
I mean, have you seen enrollment decline?
I've seen, actually being in Pac 14, it has increased over the last 4 years in our den. It all has to do with the volunteers, the people that work so hard for no money, for nothing in exchange. And it's that more value is when your kids are grown up, they'll remember you as a parent being, my mom or my dad was the leader of my pack, or I remember when, you know, Dad did the awards when we were growing up. But that's really...
Marianne, we talked about whether or not the Girl Scouts saw this coming, and you said that the CEO of the Girl Scouts nationally wasn't an ongoing conversation with the Boy Scouts, and was not under the impression that despite the rumors and the talk, that this was actually going to happen.
Right, and I guess maybe 4 months ago, it seemed that those conversations were really beginning to heat up, and there was a letter that the national board president wrote to the board president of Boy Scouts, and it was at that point that we knew they were going to go forward with this decision. And so we've been in the preparation mode, like I said, for at least fully 6 months. In how are we going to respond to our families when we're asked questions? How are we going to deal with the brothers of the girls that are in Girl Scouts? You know, what is our response going to be? And we truly believe that the programs that they are designed for the girls are the best for the girls, that they are, these programs have been created for girls, by girls, and they're delivered by girls. And we think that that's a vital thing for girls, just 1 hour a week without the pressure of being in a co-ed situation.
So is there concern at any level that there may be girls and their moms and dads, for that matter, who may be tempted to try the Boy Scout experience, and that could affect the bottom line of the Girl Scouts?
Well, we haven't really talked about it from a financial point of view. What we're really trying to do is make sure that any of the parents that are out there and considering Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts, we want them to understand what type of programming we provide for girls. It is a completely different program than what the Boy Scouts provides to boys.
Right, but there also has been, in fact, the Boy Scouts of America, in their statement, said that families today are busier and more diverse than ever, and most dual earners and more single-parent households than ever, you know, have problems getting kids from point A to point B, and that this may be appealing as a matter of practicality, because as parents, we all know we are stretched thin. I remember my wife was going from one thing to another to another to another.
Right.
I did it. Yep. I know.
I had one of my kids in soccer and dance and scouting, and I had school at one point in all of the juggling. And in practicality, it's probably not a bad idea. But is that really worth the other problems that it will arise doing it?
Well, this is a changing world and a changing society on a whole bunch of different things, and the question would be, is this the natural evolution of both the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts? The obvious question, Marianne, is whether you would invite boys to join the Girl Scouts.
Absolutely not. Unequivocally, no.
Have there been questions? Has anybody come and talked about it?
No, they haven't. In fact, it's interesting, when this conversation has been going on, the single thing that we are hearing from the Boy Scout leadership is that they have been hearing from their parents that it's a matter of convenience. Well, like I said, we serve over 6,000 families, and we don't hear one family saying it would be really convenient if we could drop our son off when the girls are having Girl Scouts, could our boys join? We've not heard one thing. And even after this announcement's been made, again, because we survey our families, asking them whether they find it to be incredibly inconvenient to drop the girls off at Girl Scouts and the boys at Boy Scouts. And almost universally, they say, no, we want our girls to have a girl-only experience.
All right, so what will the Girl Scouts do? Obviously, the marker has been laid down, and at some point, you know, the girls will be allowed into the Cub Scouts and the Boy Scouts. What will you be doing then that you have not been doing yet to retain your membership?
Well, we have been doing really good at retaining the girls from year to year. And our recruiting efforts are incredible. We're in the schools. We do recruitment events all over the council to attract new girls. I think that this whole discussion about integrating the boys and the girls in scouting has actually raised the interest level. We are getting more parents and more girls showing up at recruiting events.
Similarly, Erica, have any parents come to you and said, look, I'm just not good with this, and if this happens in our pack, we're going to be rethinking our participation?
We have not discussed that as parents of other packs and to determine what would be our next step into making a solution or a final conclusion in that matter. Have
the Boy Scouts made it clear how this will work? And I did read some things that there will be joint participation, and at other times the girls will be with the girls and the boys will be with the boys. Has that been spelled out?
No, not that I am aware of. But like I said, I'm more on the parent level, and being in the leadership levels, there's other things that are not discussed with the parents.
Okay, let's take a quick break and we'll be back with final thoughts in a moment. Stay with us. And our guests join us right now for final thoughts. Mary Ann, I guess maybe a lot of people don't realize this, but the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts exist by charter with Congress.
Correct.
And my understanding from you is the Girl Scouts have a charter to work with girls, and the Boy Scouts with boys. What happens with that? Has there been any discussions with our congressional delegation?
Well, we know that the only way that that can be challenged is through Congress, and all of my fellow CEOs across the country have been in touch with our congressional delegation. And it's interesting, in the 115th Congress, there are almost 60% of the women that are in Congress were former Girl Scouts. So 60% of the women senators are former Girl Scouts. So I think we have an ear there anyway.
And the Secretary of State used to lead the Boy Scouts. Erica, are you just going to basically sit back and see how this plays out, and one way or another you will just roll with it, and that you're hoping that your families and the kids just roll with it, or are there still a lot of unanswered questions, and the fact that there are makes you uneasy?
I will be rolling with the situation and see how it pans out. I'm not going to make a judgment or a conclusion to a situation that I'm not aware of how it's going to turn out, because it might turn out a way that we don't know. We only can base on our decisions on history. We cannot predict the future. So I'm panning it out. My kids will be staying, and will be staying into Boy Scouts until the end. At least that's what our vision is at this point.
And your kids enjoy it?
Yes. My youngest, Alexander, he actually, when my oldest was in Cub Scouts, he was always, I'm a future scout, I'm a future scout. So he's definitely going to be following through just like his older brother.
That's great.
In full disclosure, I am a retired Weeblo.
We be loyal.
and we left it there.
That's great.
Thank you both for joining us tonight. FYI, you can watch past discussions on demand. They're available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. And remember, for updates on national and local breaking news, you can download the latest version of our app. Android users, you will get the automatic update. No problems, but iPhone users, you need to go to the App Store and re-download the app. Just search for WWSB or My Suncoast. We want to thank our guests for being here tonight. Mary Ann Servian is the CEO of the Girl Scouts of Gulf Coast, Florida, and Erica Contreras is a parent of a Boy Scout and a Cub Scout.